Welcome back, Rankers. Big week for Google. In case you missed it, I don't know how you could have, but in case you did, Google launched something called Google+. Well, what is Google+? It's Google's latest social media offering, and it's actually quite a good one. They've had a lot of forays into this space before, and Google Wave, Google Buzz, and all these other things. I just couldn't use any of them. I found them clunky and counterintuitive, and just really didn't fit into the way I use the web. Google Plus does, and it does it really, really well. And I'm not going to go into a review of Google Plus today because a lot of people have done that much better than I could. And I would suggest you go and have a read of David Miman-Scott's blog and also Chris Brogan's blog. They've already got some excellent posts on how people are using Google Plus and its implications and everything else. Essentially, for me, it feels like, and I've seen a lot of other people say this, like it's got a lot of the best features of Facebook and some of the best features of Twitter, and it's all put into the one bag. It's also got this cool tool called Video Hangouts, and which is basically a video conferencing tool, which is pretty good. So it's going to give Skype a run for its money too, I think. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is the SEO implications of Google+. There's already been a couple of good articles which I'll reference in a second, but the story I did last week on Google authorship, where Google was now looking at attaching authors' details to posts that it found in the search engine results pages, and it was doing this by using Google profiles. Well, the Google profile is what is attached to your Google Plus account, your Gmail account, all those other things. And I'd never really used my Google profile before, but I'm paying a lot of attention to it now. And if you want to go and have a look at last week's show, you'll see all about Google authorship, and the blog post tells you how to set it up. But it's important because what Google is telling us is now more than ever, it's trying to promote quality content and get rid of junk content. That's what the Panda update was all about earlier in the year. So it's doing this through your Google profile. It's going to start to do this. And there's a couple of things in Google Plus that people are already talking about. How do I get into this part of Google Plus? How do I get my content into this part of Google Plus? And the main one is this thing called Sparks, which is like a news feed. So anything that you're interested in, you just type in there and you set up a saved search. A little bit like, I guess, I used to with Twitter, but this has got an algorithm attached to it rather than just searching for keywords. And there's an excellent article today, this morning I should say, by Janet Driscoll Miller on Media Post blogs, Search Insider. It's quite a good article, and the reason I found that article was through Sparks. I did an SEO search, and I found an article down here which is now already, oh no, here it is. It was right up the top about an hour ago, and it's dropped down to 8th or 9th. So people are talking about, how do we get our content found in Sparks? Well, Sparks is, as Barry Schwartz suggests at SEO Roundtable, he said, well, it seems to be a little bit based on the news algorithm, the Google News algorithm. But if you go and do a search, say, for SEO in Google News, you can see that the first story is actually this Media Post publication, which was also here, but it's now fallen right down, but it's still #1 in news. So sure, there's part of it that looks like it's time sensitive, and we always relate that to Google News. Just want to see if anybody's joined me in the... No one's joined me in my Hangout. I asked my staff to jump on, but I don't know, they're probably busy working or something, hopefully. Anyway, they're not here. So this article is appearing in Sparks. It's #1 in news, but it's not there for normal search, and now it's dropping down. And this article here is not #1 for SEO in news. So then I thought I'd do a search on my nickname Jimboot, and I found this article came up. Now this is interesting because I published this on the 30th of June, as you can see, and when I go and do a search for Jimboot in Google News, Nothing, right? So then I thought, well, maybe it's got something to do with Google still picking up that content like caffeine does so quickly these days. I thought maybe it's got something to do with that. So then I went back to a Gmail account and I did a search for where I have my Google News alerts for Gym Boot. And the only articles that came up were my Vidler feed and nothing else. So that article hasn't been picked up by Google News Alerts. It's not in Google News. So why the heck is it in Sparks? Well, the reason it's in Sparks is because I shared that on Google+. So for people who are interested in, and when you get onto Google+, then you'll see what I mean. But for people who are interested in ranking things in Google+, I really don't think it's a game that's worth playing because the content is very time sensitive. It changes very quickly, but the things that seem to affect it are a combination of that it is news and that certainly that it's shared in Google+. And they're the main things that have come out from ranking content inside Google+. How that applies to the greater SERPs? Well, if I go back to Google, I haven't actually started seeing the authorship code appear yet. If you have, let me know. But it is being rolled out. But I haven't actually seen it appear here in the Google SERPs. But if I was to go alternate energy sources, that article that I wrote isn't appearing anywhere in Google, nor would I expect it to. Even in Pages from Australia, it's not there. And it is an Australian site. So, you know, your ranking in Google does not affect what's happening in Sparks. But the reason you need to pay attention to Google Plus is because the sharing and the resharing that happens in Google Plus will be important for your rankings. And I believe, like Facebook, they'll count as a backlink because you can do the same sorts of things in Google Plus that you can do in Facebook. I mean, you look at that and it's very Facebook-like on the face of it. But you can see here things can be shared and reshared and all those sorts of things. So those sorts of things will count towards your rankings eventually. And you'll even see there's some stories here that you used to be able to, this was shared by, I'm just trying to find it now, I probably should have worked out how to bookmark. But there was from Danny Sullivan this morning, who many of you may know if you follow the search community, published a story that Google profiles are now always going to be public. You cannot make them private anymore. So get a Google profile. When Google Plus comes out, get on Google Plus. And also the other significant thing that happened with Google this week is that +1 metrics are now available in your Webmaster Tools account. So Google is, I'll just show you that. Google is showing you your +1 metrics. If you miss the whole +1 thing, it's like the Facebook like button. And you can see here, when you're logged into Google, it will always appear. The other thing that this is going to mean too, it's more important than ever now to get on the front page of your Google SERPs because more and more people are going to be constantly logged into Gmail if they're using Google+. And when that happens, personalised search is affected in the SERPs. And the only way that you're going to get up in people's personalised search face, if you like, is by appearing on the front page. And a lot of you have seen this before where you say, hey, I'm number one, and it turns out you're logged into Google and it's just personalised search that's affecting the search results. The way that happens is that you've clicked on that link once when you've been logged into Google, and Google has then upgraded that ranking in your own search, nobody else's search. But if more people are going to be logged into search, you're going to see personalised search start to have a bigger impact on what people are actually seeing in their search results. So you need to be on the front page to make sure that you get higher in the results. And once again, I'll just look to see if any staff at all have joined me in my Google Hangout, like I asked them to earlier. Very obedient. No, not one. Here's the crew. This is my staff. Well, some of them anyway. The ones that I invited to Google Plus, who I deemed worthy. Now, I didn't actually get an invite to Google Plus when it first started either. It was a hack that got me into Google Plus. Thank you to John for the hack. But Google Hangouts, just a quick overview. This is Tristan. Say hi, Tristan.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
He never does what I told him. I told him to say hi, Tristan. Say hi, Joel.
Hi, Joel. Hi, Joel.
There, you see? And this is Byron.
Hi, Byron.
I didn't say you to say anything. And that's that guy over there in the background. That's Nick. And that is it for this week's show. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.